Hello guys, welcome again to Syriana Analysis. I'm Kevork Almasian. I'm coming to you from Vienna. I attended a conference and I gave a lecture on the geopolitics of Eurasia. I will post this video most probably either on Saturday or on Sunday, so stay tuned for that. But yesterday, as we may know, that the Israeli army conducted again another airstrike on Damascus, and I received several questions about this issue, and I want to answer for your questions in this regard. And I received these questions on Twitter, but let's answer to these questions on YouTube, so maybe you share it also on Twitter. I will tell you why the Syrian side isn't responding to this, and what's the military situation, and what are the status of the Syrian air defenses. So first things first, the Israel conducts regular aerial spying operations near the border of Syria, especially in the coastal line. Israel spies for many days, sometimes for a week or two, before conducting one airstrike. The Israeli fighter jets fly near the borders of Syria, over Lebanon, and in the regional waters of the Mediterranean on a regular basis, and conduct what is called fake strikes, or balloon strikes, or sound strikes, to keep the Syrian air defense systems on high alert. And in my opinion, it's very exhausting business for the Syrian army, technologically, technically, militarily, and even in terms of the human resources. So you have to stay all the time on a high alert as a soldier, and as a weaponry, and as a machine. But then, after these so-called fake strikes, Israel comes and conducts a real airstrike. Therefore, the Syrian army, as I mentioned, has to be in high alert mode all the time. 24/24, the Syrian army is on high alert mode because of these regular spying operations, fake strikes, and then comes the real strike. The Syrian army radars, of course, detect the departure of the Israeli fighter jets, whether from Tel Aviv or Haifa or other military bases. And these radars follow the aerial movement of the Israeli fighter jets. Syria do have the, I would say, the technological capabilities, or the radars, to detect the movement of the Israeli fighter jets, but the Syrian army lacks advanced air defense systems, and I will come for that later. Now, since 2011, the NATO-backed Islamists have taken over several military bases in the suburbs of Damascus and in southern Syria, and they destroyed the air defenses. I still remember one of the videos of so-called Jaish al-Islam, or Islam's army. They have taken over one of the most important strategic military bases in the suburbs of Damascus, which had very advanced technology and very advanced satellite systems, and also air defense systems. And these jihadists, so the Islamists, they destroyed the entire military base in a matter of few hours. So in my opinion, this would not have happened without an American or Israeli orders to these Islamists in order to destroy the air defense systems, because for Jaish al-Islam, or Islam's army, that doesn't have fighter jets, doesn't have an air force, why would they destroy the air defense systems of the Syrian army unless they were tasked and asked by the United States and Israel to do this mission? Since 2018, however, especially after the liberation of the suburbs of Damascus from these Islamists, the air defenses of the Syrian army have been redeployed again in the suburbs of Damascus, and most of these systems were S-200 Buk and the Panzer S-1 air defense system. However, there is no confirmation of S-300 systems in Damascus and its surroundings. The S-300, first detection of the S-300 activity in Syria was in Misyaf, in northern Hama. I hope I'm correct in the location, but I think it's in northern Hama, but it's in Misyaf. There is a research center there, military research center. So and the first time this weapon has been used was in 2021, and it has been used only once since its deployment. But recently there are reports that the S-300s were were taken away from Syria to the Crimea, I think. I'm not sure if they arrived to Crimea, but probably there are also other S-300 systems in other places in Syria that I'm not aware of. Now, Russia supplies Syria with air defense systems, but they are very cautious about their relations with Israel. Russia simply doesn't want to tarnish its relations with Israel. They have good relations, and now especially with the Netanyahu government, the relations between Putin and Netanyahu are good. So the amount of military assistance of Russia to Syria is enough only for intercepting the attacking missiles. And there is something, guys, you need to know. These are not like an assistance. It's not like Russia is sending this weaponry to Syria as a gift or assistance to Syria. Syria buys these weapons from Russia and pays cash to Russia for these weapons. But some of the times Russia doesn't give some of its weapons to Syria because they don't want to, as I mentioned, anger Israel or tarnish their relations with Israel. On the other side, after downing one of its F-16 fighter jets over Syria, which fell, I believe, in occupied Palestine, Israeli fighter jets never penetrated the Syrian airspace since 2018. They only conduct their military operations or their airstrikes either from the skies of the occupied Golan Heights or over the skies of Lebanon or from the regional waters of the Mediterranean. They would never penetrate the Syrian airspace again because the Syrian army was very clear that they will respond against the attacking fighter jets of Israel if they penetrate the skies of Syria. Now, there are reports that say Iran is supplying Syria with advanced air defense systems or different type of air defense systems in order to improve the capabilities of the Syrian army. And I think these reports are accurate. However, networking the Russian and Iranian air defense systems in Syria need time and training. It's not like you bring air defense systems from Iran and you can operate it tomorrow. You have to network and link these air defense systems to the bigger and larger network of the Syrian air defense systems. You have to find the correct codes and in order to link these air defense systems together, because they don't operate independently or individually, and also you have to link them to your radar system. So, and also you need training for this new weaponry. So this will need time, in my opinion. Another point, Syria is not interested in opening a military front against Israel. Syria has been going through 12 years of war. The economy is in a very bad shape. Syria lacks lots of basic necessities like electricity, energy, and other even materials that you need during any type of warfare. Syria is only interested at the moment in reconciliation with its neighboring countries, especially Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and the rest of the Arab world. And Syria is interested in internal stability in order to start reconstruction. Those are the priorities of Syria. However, I also believe Syria will respond to the Israeli attacks only when Israel wages an all-out war against Syria. And there is, let's say, ground forces attacking Syria or trying to occupy territories from Syria. And also, if Israel conducts painful airstrikes on strategic posts in Syria, and Israel already wages or conducts airstrikes, let's say, on airports, and airports are considered strategic locations. However, the amount of the Syrian side believes they are able to contain these attacks for the moment. The type of the attacks and the containment or the interception of most of the missiles from the Syrian perspective is enough for the moment, and they don't want to retaliate in a way that can lead into a larger confrontation, because from the Syrian perspective, this is what I learned from reading the history of Syria and the Syrian intervention in this Lebanese civil war and the Syrian war with Israel in 1973 and the confrontation with Israel in Lebanon in 1982. That Syria doesn't go into war with Israel when Israel chooses the timing of the war. From the Syrian perspective is that they choose, the Syrians have to choose the timing of the war and not Israel. So those are the questions for the people who are genuinely interested in knowing answers about such questions, and these are my humble answers based on my experience, journalistic experience in the past 12 years, especially that I followed the Israeli airstrikes and the aggressions on Syria and on the neighboring countries, and those are my analysis. But there are also other people who ask similar questions but with bad intentions. In Arabic we say حق ولكن يراد منه باطل. It's a righteous question, but the intention is bad, and those questions are coming from mostly so-called opposition activists, and they ask, oh, why Syria isn't responding. To be honest with you, these people always celebrate when Israel attacks Syria, and then come and ask me on my Facebook or on my Twitter why Syria isn't responding, because in their intentions they want Syria to respond, and there would be an all-out war, and that Israel comes and occupies Syria, or probably hits Damascus heavily and strikes Damascus and inflicts pain. Or maybe they think that Israel can overthrow the government in Damascus, and they would come and succeed in their so-called revolution. So these people have really bad intentions. And I ask this question with another question. Since the opposition forces, the Free Syrian Army, the Jabhat al-Nusra, al-Nusra Front, and ISIS, they occupied the borders with the occupied Golan Heights, which is now a de facto Israeli territory, right? They occupied it. So they were like, the contact line with Israel was in the hands of the opposition for many years, for at least 4 years. I believe between 2012 or 2013 and or 2013 to 2017 and 18, it was in the hands of the opposition. So what has the opposition done? Why haven't they responded, for example, if they are genuine with their intentions, right? Why haven't they responded against Israel? They were occupying the borders with Israel. Why haven't they tried to liberate the occupied Golan Heights? In the contrary, they were receiving cash money from Israel. And when Israeli forces when their forces were attacking the Syrian army and they were injured, these opposition forces, Israel used to take them in the Golan Heights hospitals, and they used to treat them and cure them there, and then send them back against the Syrian army. So this is the bitter truth about this case that lots of people don't want to tell you, but I'm here to tell you what happened in the past years and what's happening now, so that you have a comprehensive understanding of this difficult, complex military situation in Syria. So I hope you liked it, guys. If you did, please subscribe and like this video and share it with your friends. And if you want to become a supporter of my independent work, please become a patron. Link in the description below, and see you next time.